discipline, ambition, determination, and goats. You might be thinking that one of these things isn't like the other. One of these things really doesn't seem like it belongs. But in all actuality, these are some of the ingredients that make up today's subject, Capricorn. Hey everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Bethany and I am the Creative Pyxie. Today starts off my first series that I am calling the Royal Zodiac. Why the Royal Zodiac, you ask? Because I am going to depict all of the zodiacs as either princesses or duchesses or some form of feminine royalty. And what better way to start off this new series than with the first zodiac of the year? With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So overall, my goal with Capricorn was to give her a old money vibe. Because if you know anything about Caps, they all about their money. They are always looking for best ways to make money and make their money work for them. I wanted the shape of the dress to also give a mermaid vibe because, sea goat and all. I went for a minimalist feel in the top of her dress and left most of the dramatics for the skirt. Little details you might notice are her hair, her clutch, and the crystals along her neckline. For the hair, I definitely wanted to give gold horns, but with afro puffs because why not? And with her clutch, I also gave some goat horn-like accents in the clasp of where the opening is, like the handle part. And then crystals, we'll get back to them later. For now, let's go ahead and get into this line work. When it comes to my line work, I am not completely consistent just yet, mainly because I haven't really settled on an ink brush. For Capricorn, I'm using a modified marker brush that I made. I used it in another piece. With this piece, I used it for the line work and for the shading, so I figured I would try to do it again because that one came out exactly as I imagined. Capricorn, not so much. I don't hate or even dislike the line work and how it came out. It just wasn't what I had in my mind. You'll see me go back and erase some of the more blunt edges and refine some faded lines to create some varied weight line and things of that nature. The marker brush just doesn't give me those things. I'm going to eventually go back into it and play around with it a bit more just to see if I can make it more of a, brush tip marker kind of brush. this point, you can see the features on her face and the dress and a little bit more of her come to life. I go ahead and I set up that corset for some draping that I wanted to add, and then also redid the skirt a bit and added some more like movement to it, so it kind of seemed more like tulle, or kind of like if it had horsehair edges kind of sewn into it. That was kind of the idea with that. I went ahead and added other little details here and there, but overall I'm really loving how classy she's looking at this point, especially the cape and those gloves. Gotta love it. Now let's move on to my favorite part: coloring. I did my research on Capricorns before I even started this drawing, just because I tend to do that, and when I do that I draw better and I pick better colors and all that awesome stuff. So when I went ahead and looked for the colors for the color palettes, I went with something that had meaning. I always love choosing colors that have some meaning to whatever piece that I'm working on. I went and found some good colors for Capricorns, which include greens, browns, oranges, and some blues even also. Capricorns are also ruled by Saturn, so I had to include some kind of ring symbolism. Let me know down in the comments if you spot later on what that is and how I kind of went ahead and inserted that in there. I know from the jump that I want to test my hand at creating different textures. So you'll see me messing around with some of my brushes and some of the blend modes to create those effects. I also knew that I wanted to give some semblance of scales on the skirt, so it kind of has that mermaid feel. I dropped those base colors for the crystals that I mentioned earlier along the neckline, and those are going to be garnets and aquamarines. It took me several clips to get that word out correctly. For the January and the December Capricorns out there, in case you were unaware or you didn't know, for January, your birthstone is garnet, and for those born in December, your birthstone is aquamarine. So since Capricorn falls towards the end of December and goes into the beginning half of January, I want to include both of those. Once I go ahead and get all of those base colors dropped, I go right into shading. shading, I fought for my life with the green on this skirt. As much as I love the mermaid look, it wasn't giving the earth tone sage that I really wanted. I have an eye for sparkle. I love all things shiny and sparkly. But for Capricorn, they are very subtle, and I wanted their symbolism to also be very subtle. So after going ahead and giving that velvet-like texture to the cape and to the gloves and to the corset, and the silk-like texture to that draping that I went ahead and set up way back in the line work stage, I went back and ended up changing the green, messing with the blend modes, changing the actual base color of it, seeing what brushes would give it the texture that I wanted, and eventually I settled on something that I ended up loving. When it comes to my shading of the skin, unfortunately, my screen recording just decided that it didn't like it. It didn't want to screen record, or who knows. But either it got corrupted, or it might have just been too long and CapCut just wasn't having it. So, unfortunately, we don't get to see that part. If you want to see me fight with the color of the skirt, and if you want to see me actually shade the skin all the way and add the highlights and all that fun stuff, you'll have to see the short that I'm going to post later on, so you can see the whole thing. It'll be a little bit speedier than this. Well, actually, it'll be way speedier than this. Let me not get the line. Once I go ahead and get everything the way I really like it, I go ahead and take a modified bokeh light brush. I created to add the shimmery effects on the strings that hold her cape, the lines on her corset, the stitching basically on her corset, the outline on her gold clutch, color some of the other outlines just to soften the whole piece, and voila! I give you Princess Capricorn of the Saturn Kingdom. Thank you all for tuning in to my very first video on YouTube. It means the world to me that you stuck around to watch my art progress as I made this piece. If you want to join me on my art journey, learn more about me, or even just like my art, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to join my family of pixies and imps. I would love to have you. Have a fantastical day, night, evening, and I will see you in the next one. Love ya. Mwah.